She's very well educated, college grad and all that kind of stuff. And she just knows that he's going to be a great leader. And maybe we can interview her one of these days.
That would be good.
Yeah, I would like to hear straight from the horse's mouth exactly what it is that is, what?
Does she play in the WNBA?
She's actually a little bit on the tall side. But, the thing is you hear so much of the propaganda of the Spanish community that is going to continue to call him a racist and all that kind of stuff. And you just get this feeling that Latinos, Latinas, they're just, they think he's a racist, and that's going to be the end of the story, and they're going to go overwhelmingly for the Democrat or anybody who opposes him, and it's just going to be in the #NeverTrump category. So you're listening to SmithRadio.com. That's Smith with a Y. You want to be a part of the show, you want to dial 772-49-SMITH, SMYTH. On Facebook, you're going to go to facebook.com/SMYTH. And on Twitter, our handle is @SmithRadio, SMYTHRADIO.
Last week, you said something about what came up in the news about Donald Trump on minimum wage. Remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This week he came out and he said, to clarify, because everybody's misconstruing that he...
Let me hear your take on that, because I have my opinions on it. I'm ready to go.
Well, minimum wage is racist, and it was put together by Democrats.
It's a communist thing.
Yeah, put together by Democrats to keep black people from working. Other than that, I think it's an awful idea. And everywhere it's been tried, where Seattle, where they're $15 minimum wage, California, $15 minimum wage, New York, $15 minimum wage. Breaking news, all you $15 minimum wagers, you have no job.
Yeah, the unemployment goes through the roof.
McDonald's has rolled out personless counters. There's nobody at the counter to take your order.
Jack in the Crack.
Jack in the Crack doing it too?
When you walk in there, you have a choice. You can either go to the person, or if off to the right, there's this giant robot bolted to the floor with a huge touchscreen TV on it, and you can touch your order, and then they just send it out to you. I think it has a dispensary for the money and for a credit card.
Why would it not? Why would it not?
Thing.
And this is the beauty of capitalism, folks. Capitalism was given to us by the almighty creator, God himself. Capitalism will always defeat communism because when it's allowed to thrive, when you let capitalism just thrive and do it on its own thing.
Unfettered capitalism?
I am, and I'm an unfettered capitalist kind of guy. But you see what happens. Capitalism circumvents the communist and makes our lives even better. Who would have thought that a personless screen would be better than a person at the Mickey D's?
Well, there's a lot of work being done by computer science people and robotics people,
right?
And who are trying to replace the human being as a laborer. And the reason they're trying to do this is because they have to pay him so much.
Did you know?
If human labor was more affordable, they couldn't afford the computer and robotics people to design these things.
Right.
Think about it. But
right.
when labor costs go up so high, it becomes cost effective, and a capitalist will come along and say, wow, you know how much money we could save these companies if we could replace all these people with robots?
Check this out. There's a machine at work at a company I used to work for. It's called a lathe. But anyways, this machine has to be set up with metal, and it makes round pieces like screws or bolts or nuts, things like that. A man has to write the program and input it into the computer, set the right material in place, and then hit the button to go. Okay, you check the first one, and then that guy getting paid between $15 and $25 an hour, depending on who he is. If you set it up, he's probably about $20, $22 an hour. Once he hits that button and it goes, then he will stand there, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours, getting paid $22 an hour.
Well, he has to make sure that the machine doesn't either break down or fail in any other way.
Okay, fair enough.
So does that happen very often?
No. Okay, so with that being said, somebody invented there's a rack behind the machine where they stack rolls of steel bars. They stack them up, and the machine feeds the round bar into the machine, clamps it, turns the one piece, cuts it off, and then keeps feeding into the machine, and nobody has to stand there and watch it.
So it actually gets its own materials.
Yes.
And what does it do with the finished product?
It drops it into a bucket.
And then in the bucket, it's fine. That's where it needs to be.
Right, because then they'll take that bucket.
Who's they?
A person will come by.
Oh, human being. Okay.
After 24 hours, a human being will come by, the janitor.
Somebody that gets paid minimum wage.
Right. They pick the bucket up, and then they dump it into another machine that just vibrates and cleans it. That's all.
Oh, you would think that they would be able to build a machine that dumps the bucket in there.
They would. Well, that wouldn't be that hard. That's not that far away. But anyways, this machine they've taken, which people used to do. I used to make these parts by hand as a kid on a manual machine. So each part was probably different. And,
right.
You had to check them all.
So this machine actually is good because of the precision.
Oh,
Human
absolute
beings
precision.
can't get that kind of precision.
Well, the precision out, absolutely. But then you take the human element out of it because it just continually feeds itself.
Which is fine.
And it runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and makes tens of thousands of these little screws or bolts or nuts or washers or spacers that can be sold for $10 a piece.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Somebody's got to pay for the robot.
That's capitalism, people. It's
Okay.
a beautiful thing.
All right, so that's a good thing. So now, what happened with Trump with his position on minimum wage?
I like to give minimum wage to the states.
So that's his latest statement.
That's just,
what was the statement before that?
well,
They said, would you like to raise minimum wage?
and he made a comment about the minimum wage. It was a really vanilla comment.
He said, we're definitely going to look at it.
Right. It was a vanilla.
Look at it.
It was a vanilla comment that
Are you
satisfies.
ruling it out? Are you ruling it out? No, we're going to look at it.
Everything's on the table.
But they reported it that he's for raising the
it.
minimum wage again.
Right. Which he said that because that will bring the Democrats into the fold.
Oh, no. Listen, here's his choice. The way the question was asked, he had two choices. He could say, no, we're not going to raise the minimum wage. Or he could say, actually he had a whole bunch of ways he could answer it, but let me give you three. No, we're not going to raise the minimum wage. The other one is, yes, we are definitely going to raise the minimum wage. And then the third one was the absolute best answer, and I'll explain why in a second. We're looking into it. We're going to keep it on the table. I'm not ruling it out. That's what he's saying. He has literally, by avoiding saying what the Cruz crew wanted him to say, which is, hell no. As a matter of fact, we're gonna lower it to zero. Which, by the way, as a capitalist, I want all you guys to hear me, and I think that Brian may agree with me.
Oh, yeah.
The capitalist position on minimum wage is that the correct minimum wage is zero.
You mean they can pay me no money to work, Kerry?
That's slavery.
Slave work.
No, the correct minimum wage is zero, and we could talk about that too. But so
You're supposed to negotiate your own wage.
Trump can't say that, and he can't say that we're taking off the table of raising minimum wage, because then you just handed the Louisville Slugger to Clinton. And by him avoiding handing on a silver platter the Louisville Slugger to Hillary Clinton, with which she will use to bash him over the head for the next 5 straight solid months.
Right.
It was a perfect answer.
Right. Oh, no, absolutely.
For these conservatives to come out and say, oh, how do you people that call yourselves a conservative that are supporting Trump's, how do you respond to that? Dude, shut up. It was the absolute best answer that he could give.
Because this is what
flawless.
It's what the news does to you. It's what they do to conservatives. They say, "Hey, yo, Mr. Trump. So when did you stop beating your wife?"
Right, and you know what? He answered the when did you stop beating your wife question perfectly.
Yes.
It was a lose-lose situation. If he said, yes, we're going to raise the minimum wage, he knows that he's going to lose his entire base. If he says no, he's going to give the greatest ammunition possible to Hillary Clinton and all the Democrats. So instead he says, we're not taking that off the table.
Right. So Breitbart is they did a whole article on Trump. And the article was not that one. Was Trump can make America great again. It's been done before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they went into the whole thing. They say a key point to remember about America greatness is that you can see it. It's tangible. If America is rich, if its middle class is prosperous, you can tell.
90s.
If our military is strong, you can see that too. If we're winning wars and destroying our enemies, you know it, and so does our foes. If you're doing cool things, that's visible too. It's our test pilots breaking the sound barrier. It's our scientists developing polio vaccines. It's our astronauts walking on the moon. It's our entrepreneurs debuting the next world astronauts walking on the moon. It's our I skipped world-changing smart devices or launching the next reusable rocket. Again, the common thread in American greatness is reality. Technology that is tangible, tangibility. As a real estate developer, Donald Trump has been building tangibles all his life. The building and all its parts either stand tall and look good or it doesn't. The same holds true for golf courses or resorts or even a beauty pageant. And now in politics, Trump brings his emphasis on the real and the tangible with him as he enters the political arena. When he says, build a wall on the Mexican border, you can see that. You can visualize that.
I mean, it's like, people would have thought that building Hoover Dam would have been impossible back in the 30s.
Right. And
could you imagine seeing that canyon and looking at it and saying, we're going to build it this high and it's going to create a lake this big and it's got to span across this and it's got to not fail.
Not only that, but all the concrete that you're going to use is going to be so much that you'll actually build a concrete foundry right there on the site.
Oh. And they had to divert the river.
Oh, yeah. They dug holes through the mountain to get the water away. And the concrete, they used so much of it that if they didn't do this magical thing, it would have taken 150 years to cool down.
To cure, yeah.
Yeah. So they actually ran refrigerators. They cooled it at each level that they build. They ran pipes through the concrete like a refrigerator to cool it down.
Yeah, and if they didn't do that, 150 years before it cooled. Yeah.
It would have been insane. It would have cracked and
it just wouldn't have been as strong. But yeah, you got to think back in the 30s, the early 30s, what they must have been thinking when presented that issue. Right. And that was built by the government. Basically, it was one of them things where we were going through a depression. And we're like, well, what are we going to do with all these people out of work? Well, let's put them to work with a government project. And so that the Hoover Dam was one of them. And there were other ones. I even think in Cincinnati, part of that was the Union Terminal and all that kind of stuff. But that being said, I can't wait to see how Trump does this. And I really hope he pulls through and actually does it.
Well, and I mean, James Pinkerton wrote this for Breitbart, and he just, I mean, you can say it sounds like he's gushing over him, and yeah, maybe so, but it makes sense. When was the last time a politician painted a tangible picture for you about something they were going to do?
Yeah, and the only thing
then did it.
Well, and that's the thing. The Never Trump people, their only opposition is he's lying. He won't do it.